In a country that prides itself in its Nari Shakti, there's something that is letting down India's girls. The challenge of menstrual hygiene still haunts our young girls. Girl students are still missing school due to lack of menstrual hygiene facilities. Lack of water, soap, even toilet doors and overall sanitation facilities in schools have led our girls to leave education. In a latest report by Sulabh International, some very glaring findings have been brought to light. According to the report, it is a forced choice for schoolgirls to stay at home during their menstrual cycle as they fear using school toilets. Now, this fear has caused Indian girls to miss up to 60 school days. About 4,800 women and girls were talked to in 14 districts of Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Odisha and Tamil Nadu. Around 7% of the women said they prefer to skip consulting doctors for intimate health issues related to menstruation. 17% girls said medical help was far away, and more than 91% of the women said there is lack of female doctors. Now, not just basic menstrual hygiene, one of the biggest risks that threatens young girls and women, and that comes along with lack of menstrual hygiene, is cervical cancer, the second most common cancer among Indian women. 2/3 of these cases are due to poor menstrual hygiene. And that is exactly why we need urgent action on this. To talk more on this, I'm joined on the show by Nirja Bhatnagar, National Director, Program and Advocacy at the Sulabh International. Alankrita Pandey, Founder and Managing Trustee at Titli Foundation, joins us, and Vandana Burdi, Member ActionAid, also joins us. Good evening. Namaskar, ladies. Thank you very much for speaking with us on Mirror Now. I'd like to start with you, Nirja Bhatnagar ji. This report is extremely concerning. This is 2023 that we are in, and we're still talking about our young girls dropping out of schools and missing their education and learning, all because of a basic lack of menstrual hygiene facilities. What is it that you found out in this survey? What was more appalling? In fact, I'd like to talk to you about, Nirja, the fact that there is lack of menstrual hygiene facilities, or the kind of products and the kind of things that young girls use when they're menstruating.
Yeah, thank you, Shreya. Thank you for having me. Yes, you are saying this is 2023 and we are here. And this study was very, very recently conducted in 2022. We just completed our study in the month of May 2023. So yes, this is the situation prevailing in the completely unreached areas. And I would categorize this problem into two categories. One is the health part of it, another is the social part of it. The period poverty is created, and you can see from these two aspects. Social part is like, our report focused on the shame and stigma part of it, and the health facility is something like it's not being reached out properly in a systematic way. Although there have been some benefits or public policies, like, there have been a political will to distribute free napkins, sanitary napkins, to the girls, school girls, but it has not served the purpose completely, because no issue remains in silos. I mean, only by giving free sanitary napkins, I don't think you can tackle the issue. You need safe toilets. You need a toilet which should have continuous safe water. You need privacy to change their menstrual product. You need like, a kind of an atmosphere, environment, so that you can discuss it with your people if you have a problem. It all depends, like, see, every time the children, what they told us, we interviewed, our total number of respondents were 6248, and among them 60% were school girls, and they said that we can't even talk to a teacher. So that shows that, the teacher also should be trained accordingly, so that students can come out very clearly. They can't come out in front of a male teacher, and you can imagine the condition in the rural area. There are certain areas,
Yeah.
I wouldn't name the state, because we are looking at the problem. We are not looking at any particular kind of a state or any particular kind of, we are not accusing anyone. But we are saying that in that state, when a girl goes through this menstrual period, she is kept out of the house. Sometimes only 4 bamboo sticks she lives in that house. Just a paper plastic on, that is called menstrual hut. And in that menstrual hut, it is all the more not safe her to be there, because so many insects in the night, there is no fan, she has to sleep there for 6 days. What she is changing, you don't know the insects which is there. Secondly, the menstrual material, she has to use the same material months after months. She has to keep, there is problem in where do you keep it safe. There is a problem whether it is really safe from the health point of view. So, I will say that there are two issues,
Yeah.
social and the health part of it. And when it comes to social, I think we need to now move beyond capacity building. Now we need to get into behavioral change. Because we are all over India, we are not the same. Our context, our background is very different, so we are very different, and we have to cater to those kind of a local context. We have to also bring in men and boys, because the whole stigma is like, my brother should not see, my father should not know that I am menstruating. So somewhere you have to ungender. This is called ungendering of menstruation, because this is we need to tell people this is a very healthy process which a girl or a woman goes through after 27 days of every month. There is no sickness. She's not allowed to do this. She's not allowed to get into kitchen. She's not allowed to go into the temple. She's not allowed to do the ritual. So the social part is controlling the technical part. Okay, social part is not allowing.
So, I understand, Nirja Bhatnagar, what you're saying.
If you're free society,
Yeah, perhaps some practices are needed to be done away with. Some practices perhaps came out of some sort of scientific reasoning, but we're not getting into that. The problem is that there is no behavioral change on ground. The taboo still remains. And Alankrita, that's where, the major problem lies. That till the time we don't change our mindset, till the time we don't change our behavior, because that's where change will happen, nothing will change. As much as we talk about menstrual hygiene sitting here right in the studio, you and I, nothing will change on ground if the average young man, woman, human being does not change their mindset and their behavior.
Yeah. As Nirja ji rightly pointed out, that there are two aspects of it. One is social and another is, health aspect of it. So if you're talking about health, definitely menstruation is it's not a phenomena that just happens once in blue moon. It happens every month to a menstruator. It has been happening for years. It isn't a new evolution. It has been happening since the birth of humanity. So it is something that should be talked about more often. And the reason why there is a lot of taboo attached to it is also because there is lack of education around the topic. Usually we see how in schools people like teachers skip the chapter of reproduction and the entire chapter of, okay, how does a girl or a woman or a menstruator menstruates. We skip that entire part. And specifically, it starts from our home, it starts from our houses, that we don't talk about periods. And apart from all of this, I just want to quickly highlight two factors. We have midday meal in our government schools, right? Why can't we have donation of just access to cloth pads? I'm not talking about plastic pads, because it is a one time use and throw thing, but we can use cloth pads, we can use menstrual cups. We should be promoting sustainable period products. And if that is there in the picture, the government doesn't have to come every month or every week and donate the products. And talking about periods in general, it is something that is happening to every woman like every month. So आप उसको एक बारी में, you cannot just let it go. Okay, एक बारी donate हो गया and then you're fine with it. And then there comes an entire factor of pink tax. We know what pink tax is. We know all the women out there, they are paying for it. So a cloth pad or even a pack of pad that we can afford, probably some daily wage worker cannot afford it. Someone who's just earning 100 or 200 rupees per day, how can we expect them to afford a pack of pad? And not just that,
That is true.
menstruators end up using the
Which is
same
what, Alankrita, leads me to the fact that why even donate? Why can't we just have free sanitary napkins in the
exactly,
country? You know, even
ex-
vending machines which are put up
yeah,
they need a coin to be inserted into those machines so that one sanitary napkin can drop for you.
exactly.
But the fact of the matter is, why do you even need that? Just put it for free. But perhaps the
See,
background to it would be that the companies manufacturing these products have a lot of arithmetic going on behind it, the
yeah,
economics behind it. Vandana, you know, one of the concerns in this whole issue is period poverty and how many low-income women are not able to afford the kind of sanitary napkins which are prevalent in the market. Yes, an NGO might come into their village, might go into rural areas, donate some, maybe for the next 3 to 4 months, you have some pack, you have some supply, but what next? And what happens after that? That needs to be taken care of too. The economics behind it and the economics that impacts women and young girls.
Thank you so much for raising this relevant point. And I've been thinking ever since I've been hearing from Nirja ji and Alankrita, the most significant factor in our country, it is also to bring forth the role of gender budgeting. I believe all of you, even Mirror now, many of the news channels have really focused on the 16 days activism. And having said that, I'm very happy that definitely all the three women you have invited, it would have been great to even have a man to certainly talk on this topic because there is a lack of
Yeah.
sensitization. There is a lack of discussion, not only in the families, but also at the level of state and the central level. And since you mentioned regarding provision of free sanitary pads, let me also bring forth here. A couple of months ago, Scotland is the first country to make sanitary pads free for all the women and girls. Specifically, if we talk about, like, because I'm in the urban context and I come from Hyderabad, I'm not talking even about the rural, but even in urban, lack of sanitation facilities, the toilets, even in the communities, the women and girls are forced to use the open drains. The girls are just creating some kind of four walls using their own bed sheets, and they're just using making a small potholes. So right now for us, the most important significant as a social activist is to also not just about the behavioral change communication, which is indeed the most important factor, but also the importance of the state and center to take important measures of how to increase the gender budgeting when it comes to toilets, when it comes to community toilets, when it comes to toilets in the schools. And as even Nirja ji was mentioning, there was a campaign that ActionAid has led a couple of years ago, and we continued School Without Fear, in which it was not the NGO, it was actually the school and the students who took the role of having the safety audits and the safety walk mapping. And when I say about the mapping of infrastructure of the schools, Shreya, it is also important for us to know that children are not just going, the girls are not just going because of lack of sanitation facilities, but there is also a lot of abuse factor where the toilets are being placed, not just the infrastructure, but also the kind of loneliness that these toilets are being placed. So for us, it is important that as a community a whole,
Hmm.
as a society a whole, we also take note of these significant factors, that how the state and the center has to take role in increasing the gender budgets, which also leads to significant role when we are talking about absenteeism in the schools.
Yeah, important points there. Nirja Patnakar, I also want to bring in an important point of the urban-rural divide. And I want to understand from you, from the surveys and research that you conduct, is there and what is the urban-rural divide when it comes to menstrual hygiene? And I ask that because in urban areas, I see a lot of women and young girls being aware of menstrual hygiene practices. Uh, for example, disposing of used sanitary napkins, that's not done properly despite awareness. So how much of that awareness is being translated into behavioral change is something that even urban areas need to look at and think about.
Yeah, Shreya, you put it very rightly because disposing it is a huge issue. That's what I'm saying. The whole ecosystem needs to be strengthening. Even in rural areas, wherever they are getting sanitary pad to use, they dig the hole and they put it there, and or maybe sometimes most of the time they burn it, which is so harmful to the environment. Of course, I totally agree that till now we have not we have not reached to the point where environment friendly disposal thing has come up. There are researches going on this, and very soon we are going to have this. But when you are saying rural and urban divide, see, let me also tell you here, okay, whenever we talk about menstrual hygiene, we always talk about sanitary pads. See, it is not promoting sanitary pad, it is promoting menstrual health. Okay, so we have to, yes, sanitary pad, one of the tool that you secure the health, but then when you make them aware and when you bring in the topic very seriously on the health issues, then that discussion will go and it will work for women. When it comes to rural-urban divide, let me tell you, in urban areas also, the hygiene part is taken care, but the social stigma is there still. Even if in a city like Mumbai, in a city like Pune, and in a city like Delhi, I would say, in a city like Chandigarh, I would say, yes, there is hygiene, there is a toilet, there is water, there is soap, everything is there. But then they don't enter into the kitchen. So the social part is still there. They don't perform puja. They don't go to the temple. So that social aspect has not been taken. Is not gone till now.
Or if you go to a shop to buy a sanitary napkin, they'll wrap it in a black poly bag and give it to you.
You have to newspaper.
And
he will pack and he will
I
give you.
myself, and I know a lot of women.
What kind of a shame it is.
I myself and a lot of my women friends actually have now started refusing कि ऐसे ही दे दो. Don't pack it in a black bag or a newspaper. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But that is also something that needs to be gotten rid of.
That's what I'm saying. The whole ecosystem has to be developed. Like, you know, when we ungender this menstruation and when we bring in men and boys and this social group, I think then that is the time when the stigma will go. It will, of course, take time, but we are beginning very well. Let me tell you that. Not that everything is very, very negative. In rural areas, in our research, 77% girls, they know what it is. They know, but also there are rural areas, you know, you will be surprised to know that they don't know from where the menstrual blood flows from the body. That part they don't know. Of course, we had gone to much interior area. We had gone to area where PVGs are there, primitive tribes are there, and the girls, they don't know. But the same area also, if you go to other part of the country, like for example Chhattisgarh, they know, girls, they know. They have seen I mean, they can draw you. I have not brought that. I would have shown you that a girl who is studying in ashram sala in a tribal area, she properly drew and she showed me. So she knows the scientific, you know. So here the issue is also affordability and accessibility of the product. Affordability and accessibility of the health part of it. Affordability and acceptability of the having like, you know, in our suggestions which has come in,
Nirja
that
ji,
you bring in MHM in JJM.
In tribal communities, Nirja ji, what are the young girls and women use when they are menstruating?
Sorry? Repeat this, please.
In tribal communities where you mentioned, where you went into the interiors of villages and areas of the country, are you able to hear me, Nirja ji?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you went into those interior areas, Nirja ji, and met with the tribal communities, what are the young girls and women using there?
They are using cloth, and they don't even have the soap. So they just wash it under the running water. Thankfully, that being a forest area, they have a free flow of water. For that also they have to walk miles. They wash it just in the water and they dry it. And from there I come, and when I said that they keep it in a place so that they can use the same material next time again. See, here we are not imposing pad, but what people are free to use whatever they want to use, but it should be hygienic, you know. So we are promoting the menstrual hygiene here, because market is there to encash upon every need of yours. Like, you know, market is not going to be very, very lenient on you. They will not promote hygiene. They will only talk about it, but they'll sell their product. Let me tell you, we have Sulabh Sanitation Mission Foundation. We have started manufacturing of sanitary napkins also. We have started in the interior of Maharashtra, and there we have 5,000 self-help group women. They are consuming every month, and they are manufacturing, and they are getting daily wages also. Earlier they didn't have the income, so they did have the knowledge, but they didn't have the
do you think
income.
then therefore,
They didn't have the
Alankrita,
money to buy this, but now they have the money.
Yeah.
okay. Do you think, Alankrita, then big companies that are manufacturing these sanitary napkins, they should probably, when they advertise their sanitary napkins as being, just the most comfortable sanitary pads for women and all of that they show in their ads, do you think one of the key elements of those advertisements and those promotions could be also talking about the menstrual hygiene aspect in a more
Obviously, it should
prominent
be.
way?
Yeah, so let me highlight a factor which is related to health, and we are talking about sanitization over here. That most of these plastic pads that we are talking about, these big brands out there, the kind of chemicals that are used on that plastic pad is mostly carcinogenic. What happens is a menstruator who's not able to afford a pack of pad more often than any other person, what happens is they end up using the same pad for like 6 to 8 or 12 hours sometimes, and you're not supposed to use that pad for more than 4 hours. What happens in that is there comes in toxic shock
Yeah.
syndrome, which is lethal. Many people have lost their lives because of that. Then very well highlighted in the beginning of the show that there is cervical cancer attached to it, and in general about women's health, there is not much awareness about it. So when they use these products, they end up using it for a prolonged period of time. They are not taking care of their hygiene, mostly because they are not able to get a clean washroom, and all of the other factors. The blood is in contact with the pad for a very long time, and it's unhygienic and it's not healthy for their bodies. Now, because they don't know it, they end up using the product for a long period of time. They talk and talking about the advertisement, talking like answering your question, these advertisements are all about un dino ke liye, or for those days. So if we are addressing periods with
Yeah.
and it's not the problem of the companies itself, it's also the problem of censor board. Censor board has put in some ban on using the word period or
Yeah, so they are just
menstruation.
respecting the cultural sensibilities, but then that
Yeah,
is the core of what needs to change when we talk about
exactly.
menstruation and menstrual hygiene. Quickly, Vandana, the last word to you then. What is the way forward? As women, of course, we need to talk more about it. Not just women, we need to get our young boys and men to understand this whole issue, talk about it, and to their credit, now, of course, with the younger generation, with the newer generation, they are more open about it. But yes, a way forward could be perhaps, like you said, through the government at the center and the state pushing forward and focusing more on women's health.
That's right. Thank you so much. And it is indeed important, as we are talking and we are actually, witnessing that we ourselves are making that change of not actually accepting that having those black poly bags, and even the girls that we work with, because even in 13 states we are working with young girls, wherein the young girls are being sensitized and they are becoming the young leaders for change, who in their houses, in their families, in their
Yeah.
communities are talking about the menstrual process. As even Nirja ji is mentioning, it's even more important for us to know that it's a normal biological process. So the dialogue has to start, Shreya, from my own family. It has to
Yeah.
start to the community, and it has to talk at a larger level in the schools and even at the state. So while we are mentioning this, it is very,
Yeah.
very
So more
important that
conversation.
the
Yeah.
women talking about their sexual and reproductive health, they need to know that it's a normal process
Yeah.
which is happening in me. And when we talk about it, without me having
Yeah.
these menstrual periods, my
Also,
even
I think
family cannot
mainstream
grow.
conversation needs to happen, not just, 30 minutes workshops in schools just for girl students. That at least that's what used to happen during my school time. And that's perhaps what has continued, but more mainstream conversation. I'll have to wrap this up. Thank you very much to all you ladies, Alankrita, Vandana and Nirja Patnagar, for joining us on Mirror Now and sharing your thoughts on this big concern of not just girls and women. Remember, it's a concern for the entire country when we talk about women's health. With that, we're slipping into a short break on Beyond the Headline. News and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned.